Greetings, salutations to Safe to Serve International and first-time viewers. Welcome to this midday power surge. I'm your host, Andrew Henriquez. Now, today we have some solemn points to cover. I almost missed it today, but by God's grace, we are here together. I'm going to put several pieces of this jigsaw puzzle on the proverbial table. And by God's grace, we'll put these pieces together to form that big picture. And that big picture is that there are great conspirators, and they have the puppet master, the Pope of Rome. And his agenda, Jesuits' agenda, is to overthrow our freedoms, enslave the masses. Without further ado, I'm going to be addressing how governments are forcing citizens to care for and to house migrants. We're talking about people who illegally entered America. It's also going on in Europe. I'm going to be addressing that. And secondly, I'm going to share that there are signs showing us that slavery has returned, but it's under a disguise. The migrants are now being enslaved. I'm going to be addressing that. And of course, the mark of the beast is going to come. It's on foot via illegal immigration. Let's get right into this, my friends. In 2015, many people do not realize the impetus of this statement. Pope Francis, standing before the U.S. Congress, a joint session of Congress, as well as before the UN. And what did he state? The common good has become global. What is the efficacy of that statement? He went on to state what common good really is. The Roman Catholic social teaching. It means give up your personal interests. Give up your individual rights for the greater good. Talking about collectivism trumping individualism. For the greater good, for the rest of us, give up your individual sovereignty, give up your individual rights. Are you aware that common good, the Roman Catholic social teaching, globalism, trampling individualism, is also connected to the mark of the beast? Later on, I'm going to address this. Now, for several weeks and months, even years, I've been sharing this particular article from the World Economic Forum. This article was posted on Forbes as well as on the World Economic Forum. By the way, it was posted first on the World Economic Forum, which states, "Welcome to 2030. You own nothing and you will be happy." That is their document. November 12, 2016, the World Economic Forum's platform. This is their blueprint for globalism. This is their blueprint for collectivism, trumping individual liberties and rights. This is their blueprint for their conspiracy, which will lead to the mark of the beast. Now watch this. Adrian Monk is right there. He's actually the managing director of the World Economic Forum. Does he have clout? Does he have influence? Well, he published this article in 2022, actually stating the phrase, "you'll own nothing, you'll be happy." He actually says that is disinformation. That is misinformation. Hold on there. Adrian Monk, the article was published on your website, the World Economic Forum. Question. So are we to believe that the World Economic Forum has no checks and balances? Are we to believe that they allowed content to be posted on their website that promotes misinformation and disinformation, and that content was there for years from 2016 to 2022, and all of a sudden it was scrubbed, removed, bleached, whitewashed from their website only after a protest? My friends, let me be clear. It's a crime to conspire and hurt innocent people. It's also a crime for somebody, a conspirator, to tamper with evidences at a crime scene, to deceive investigators so they would not be found as conspirators, perpetrators, criminals, murderers. Startling, right? Well, if you Google these words, welcome to 2030, you own nothing, you'll be happy, you will not find the article on the World Economic Forum. It has vanished, gone. Why? Why? Well, the article was saved on a particular website. Here is Adrian Monk. He says, he suggested that criticism of the WEF's controversial, quote, "You'll own nothing, you'll be happy," end quote, slogan is tied to misinformation campaign. But Mr. Monk, it was on your website. All right, friends, there it is. It was on your website. Now, that article was saved on Medium's platform. And the Medium platform, press, actually gave you the World Economic Forum and the date 2016. At this point, we need to address and analyze the article. It's their blueprint. Take a look at this. It says, all in all, it is a good life. Much better than the path we are on. We had all these terrible things happening. What things? It mentions diseases, climate change. What is number 3? The refugee crisis. It's their blueprint for globalism to trample upon our liberties. In the same article from WEF, it says, in our city, we don't pay any rent because someone else is using our free space. Whoa. Is it now accidental that governments are now forcing citizens to care for and to house illegal migrants, people who have come into our country illegally, to be brought into our homes, our quote-unquote free spaces? It's the agenda of Klaus Schwab, the agenda of the global merchants, the globalists, the agenda of the common good, the agenda of Pope Francis. Give up your rights for collectivism. It will lead to the mark of the beast, the agenda of the Jesuits, destroy the policies, the laws of America. Take a look at this, friends. Elon Musk chimed in. He says, migrants, quote, will come for your homes. Why was that statement made by Mr. Musk? After New York City school switched children to remote learning. Don't come back to school. Stay home and learn. Why? To house border crises, border crossers during a particular storm. Clip 1. Listen.
Elon Musk said that migrants will, quote, come for your home after a video was shared to X of migrants being dropped off at a school in New York City. About 1,900 asylum seekers were seen being dropped off at a high school in Brooklyn to take precaution from a storm over concerns that Floyd Bennett Field would flood. Although the migrants were reportedly cleared out by sunrise, the principal chose to move forward with remote learning. The decision outraged parents and Musk, who's been very outspoken against the U.S. border crisis since he visited Eagle Pass, Texas last year.
Do you see it? Clip 2.
Last year.
How does it feel that you kicked all the kids out of school tomorrow? How does it feel? Do you feel good? I hope you feel good.
An ex-user pointed out that migrants are already being housed in American homes and cited an August 2023 article from Boston News 25. At the time, the Massachusetts governor just declared a state of emergency over the migrant crisis and asked that the federal government and residents help out. New York has recently been buckling under the pressure of an influx of migrants and has been trying to shuttle some into New Jersey.
I'm going to come back to America, but allow me to swing across the pond. In the UK, governments are now forcing residents to sell their homes to make room for asylum seekers. Sell your home. You have no option. You are being forced to sell your homes. Let me state this. I sympathize, empathize with these migrants who are coming in. But do you not know they're being used as pawns for a greater agenda, a sinister agenda? Yeah. So we can't side with them, nor with the globalists, the conspirators. Watch this. Headline. This is February 14th. Watch this. Couple who are elderly told they had to sell their home to house asylum seekers. Watch this, my friends. Councils, these are city governments, are compulsory purchasing empty properties to meet a surge in the number of asylum seekers being granted leave to remain in the UK. Skip on down. Let's read some of this. It says, the letter said the council was seeing a quote-unquote considerable increase in positive immigration decisions being made in favor of asylum seekers, mainly single men. Yes, single men. And the authority was struggling to source suitable accommodation for them. What on earth is the council doing? Forcing people to sell their houses? And even an empty house is owned by someone so that asylum seekers can live in them. The answer to this is to stop them coming in the first place. Not to force people out of their homes. Watch this, my friends. Clip 1 in this section.
Letter was from the council, and you got this on the 12th of January. You moved in November, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you got this letter. And just spell out what this letter says.
That letter says that because the property is derelict, that they can compulsory purchase it. If there's any repairs to be done in it, they could take it off the price of the property.
Yeah.
And these properties are for migrants.
It's
what they want these houses for.
Extraordinary, isn't it? And how did you feel when you got a letter? You've moved into your new wonderful home, you settle down, law-abiding citizens, and you get a compulsory purchase order from the council accusing you of occupying a derelict home. How did you feel when you got this?
After paying $200,000 for it, but didn't feel very well.
No, it must have been one hell of a shock, mustn't it?
It was an awful shock.
A shock? My friends, later on, I'm going to connect this policy, this draconian agenda, with Jesuitism and popery. Don't forget what you're seeing and what you're hearing. Clip 2.
It was an awful shock. And when I got that, I felt sick. And when we went down to the council the day we got that letter after we read it. And the lady in there, she said, don't worry about it, it's just a standard letter.
We have been so hollowed out as a nation. We've turned our backs entirely on the territorial integrity of this country.
Listen.
To the point where it's become standard to repossess houses.
But why is this always that it's for the immigrant and not the indigenous population?
Well, veterans are sleeping rough.
Yeah.
16,000 veterans.
Terrible weather.
Absolutely.
They can't get put in hotels or in a bibby stock home.
There is a daylight centre charity in Wellingborough, which looks after homeless people who are sleeping rough, and they spend £630 per annum per head illegal migrants get paid £50,000. They get spent on them £50,000 per annum per head. And here we have the evidence of it in this letter. They wanted your lovely new home. Yeah. Unbelievable.
It's a sinister agenda. Illegal migrants are being treated better than even veterans who fought the satanic wars of their nations. Think about that. Do you not see it is a conspiracy? Watch this, my friend. Let's come back to America. First, Boston suburbanites house migrants in their homes. And listen to what the Donkey Party in America said. Democrats urges, quote, everybody should be opening their doors. Everybody. Question, do you see it's time to flee these wicked cities? Watch this. Listen.
There is also this out of Massachusetts. Boston is running out of room to house migrants, and one Democrat city council member wants residents in the suburbs to start taking them in. She says Dedham, Wellesley, Brookline, cities and towns that have so much more resources than the city of Boston, people who actually have more financial support, we need to do everything in our power to make sure that we are setting them up for success, or whatever success looks like. I think everyone should be opening up their doors because this is a shared responsibility.
It's a shared what? Responsibility. Do you remember during the COVID-19 pandemic, they were actually using this propaganda tool? If you don't take the prick against your liberty of conscience, you don't love your neighbor. Do we not see it's something very similar? It's our response. It's not my responsibility. It's not mine. Clip 2. Watch this.
Grace Curley lives in a Boston suburb and is the host of the Grace Curley Show. And she joins us now. Grace, great to have you here. If I'm a resident of Wellesley, Dedham, or Brookline, I'm thinking, since when does your horrible sanctuary city policy, Councilwoman Mejia, create a responsibility for me? What say you, Grace?
I agree. And when we saw this happening in Martha's Vineyard, it didn't go well. That was in 2022. Martha's Vineyard, home to John Kerry and Barack Obama, when they received 50 migrants from Ron DeSantis, they brought in the National Guard. So this isn't going to be a kumbaya moment. This is probably going to create a lot of issues, and there's going to be a lot of unhappy people out there.
All right.
Yeah, and this is
So we see the hypocrisy. Yes, let's care for the migrants, bring them to your home, but don't ship them to our vineyard or Martha's Vineyard community. Don't bring them here. Hypocrisy. It is a conspiracy. Next.
Or is open.
My concern with that, you're basically opening your doors to an unvetted stranger on the one hand, and secondarily, you're normalizing illegality. So even though you think you're doing something magnanimous, I think it's a bad thing for our country. I want to get your thoughts.
Agree. You are bringing into your home unvetted individuals just because the government says it's your responsibility, it's your duty as a citizen. Oh, love your neighbor. Do not care for the poor. Were you not once in a similar situation? Propaganda, deception. And we're also indirectly teaching people it's okay to break civil laws. Then by extension, we're teaching people it's okay to violate, desecrate God's moral law, 10 Commandments. This is the city councilwoman there in Boston. Hear what she says.
Wellesley, Brookline, cities and towns that have so much more resources than the city of Boston.
Boston City Councilwoman Julia Mejia thinks more migrants can be placed outside of Boston.
I think everybody needs to start opening up their doors because this is a shared responsibility.
Controversy.
What about your house? What about your house? This is a family. Friends, again, we actually have to sit over and over again we do sympathize with these migrants coming in. But do they realize that they're simply a means to an end? Pawns to be used and then left by the wayside? Watch this carefully. They're in Boston. This couple volunteered to host the migrants, and they didn't even know who they were getting. Watch this.
Colin and Jessica Stokes called the state to sign up to be a host family. It took less than an hour for the displaced migrants to be dropped off at their door.
I gotta get sheets on the bed. How many people are coming? Where are they from? What ages? We really knew nothing.
The need is so clearly overwhelming.
The family of four who didn't want to go on camera had been sleeping at Logan Airport. The parents and two kids journeyed from Chile to Texas, then Massachusetts. And there are so many stories like it.
It boggles the mind that there are so many hundreds of those stories.
Yes, we agree. People are suffering. We agree with that. America, a land of refugees. We agree with that. How many fathers? Are there any fathers in the chat right now? Are there any fathers in the chat right now? Would you allow any unvetted stranger to come into your home, to live in your home? Meaning, husband, wife, you don't even know if they're married. Man, woman, and children in your home just like that? Watch this.
Been an emotional few weeks for Wildande Joseph and her husband. First, sleeping on the floor at Logan Airport, then in Children's Hospital with their 2-year-old daughter who got very sick.
Me siento mal. Es muy difícil este tiempo.
She felt bad, as any mother would. Now things are looking much brighter as they've been welcomed into Lisa Hillenbrand's Brookline apartment.
Friends, Mary Kate in the chat actually responded. I'm waiting on the husbands. I'm sorry. I have 2 girls. I'm not letting anyone in my home. Thank you for your comment. JS2798 writes, when did they ever care for the poor? Hypocrisy at its finest. This is a statement I wholeheartedly agree with. Judas claimed to care for the poor at the first advent of Christ, but he was a thief. And Judas Iscariot, if you look at his traits and characteristics, he represents modern day popery. Oh, we care for the poor. The pilgrims, it's a deception. Now look at these Haitians, these migrants. We care for them. We want to support them, but support them the right way. I'm wondering, is this leading to slavery? Watch this.
What I realized is there's so much prejudice against refugees, mostly because people don't know them.
Lisa says she feels like she has her own personal chef, as Wildande loves cooking.
¿Te gusta?
Her own personal chef. Oh, come on in. Cook and wash, come on in. Clean. Question, is this modern day slavery or barterism? I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Quid pro quo. One hand washes the other hand. No, that's good, but let's do it based on principle. Next clip.
In fact, her goal is to open up her own restaurant. The couple has their work permits and they've been taking English classes.
Yo cualquier trabajo va a hacer para guardar mi dinero para hacer mi futuro.
They're open to work anywhere to save money for their future.
Yes, and here's one article. It states, woman hosting illegal migrant at her home reportedly says, experience is like having a personal chef. And one writes, watch carefully, my friends. It states, slavery by a different name. Someone else posted on X, my first thought was that this sounds like slavery. It's disgusting. Another writes, we used to call this slavery. They are getting servants for free. Meanwhile, struggling Americans are homeless, veterans, get no help. Hypocrisy. Continue. One posted, LOL. It's called contributing to the household. Yes, it's really a joke, right? The bartering system. You help me, I help you. You expect the host family to do all their cooking, cleaning, and errands while the illegals sit on the couch and watch TV? They should be helping out. My friends, just as inspiration says, let's tie this back to popery. I believe it's slavery under a different guise. Inspiration writes, slavery will again be revived. And we're seeing it now. Will lead also to the mark of the beast crisis. Financial slavery, not because there's no shackles and handcuffs, it's slavery. Watch this, my friends. And who has been the backbone of slavery? Great Controversy, page 608. In the mark of the beast time period, God's faithful people are going to be treated as slaves. Slavery is going to return. Look at the history, friends. It's a fact. The Roman Catholic Church has been the backbone of the slave trade. Let's get to the Bible. Revelation 18. Babylon, her merchants, will ultimately enslave the masses. It's right there, my friends. We don't make things up. And who is Babylon? These scriptures and current events confirm Babylon is the Roman Catholic Church, the so-called mother of harlots. Babylon, it is slavery. Well, here is one husband that responded in the chat. Miguel Reed writes, it sounds like the common good. I will not allow just anybody unvetted to come and live in my home with my wife and children. So what happens when crimes take place? To whom shall we turn? The same persons who caused the crime to take place? Let's continue here. Hotel workers are now being replaced by illegal migrants. Oh, you don't want to work? That's okay. We'll bring in the migrants. Watch this.
Meanwhile, hotels in Santa Monica and Los Angeles are being accused of hiring migrants to replace striking workers. The LA County District Attorney's Office and the Hotel Workers Union now saying some of the hotels are exploiting the desperation of the migrants by giving them these jobs without paying them fair wages.
I didn't even know which agency was hiring me, how much I was going to earn, how many hours I was going to work. I worked without breaks, without permission to eat, doing the work of 3 or 4 people. At the end of my job, I received a check without any information on how much I earned per hour.
Now, the DA's office is also investigating allegations hotels
my
also
friends,
hired
it's clear. Now imagine when they had the 15-minute cities surrounding us. What laws are going to be rolled out upon the residents within these 15-minute cities? It's now a law bringing the unvetted illegal migrants, or else you're going to be fined. You see my point? You're going to be prosecuted. You're going to be jailed. Hello? Wake up. It's time for country living. It's right there. 15-minute cities are coming.
All within a 15-minute walk.
All right, friends. They even said in the article from the WEF website, welcome to 2030. You own nothing. You will be happy. They're right. My biggest concern is all the people who don't live in our city. Those we lost on the way. Those who decided that it became too much, all this technology. They live different kind of lives outside the city. In other words, those who left the city to reside in the country, they're weird. They're just strange, fanatical. We lost them, by the way. Friends, I'd rather be in that group. What do you say? Now watch. This is now their fingerprint at the crime scene. It is their agenda. And that's why they scrubbed their article from their website. Welcome to 2030. You'll own nothing. You'll be happy. This is the video clip. World Economic Forum. They have 8 predictions for the world for 2030. Look at these predictions. Number 1. You'll own nothing. You'll be happy. Do you see it? You'll own nothing. You live by subscription. You rent things. Number 2, 1 billion people will be displaced by climate change. We'll have to do a better job at welcoming in the migrant refugees. It's right here. Displacing people. We must welcome in and integrate refugees. That is their agenda. Western values will have been tested to the breaking point. The breaking what? They want to break America. How break America? That's theoretical. They want to overthrow our constitutional laws. All right, friends. That's in the video that they posted, which now they have scrubbed from the internet. Move on. This is Klaus Schwab, WEF leader. The future is built by us.
Let's also be clear. The future is not just happening. The future is built by us.
You see, it's all connected. The same jargon and sentiment of Pope Francis, because they're on the same bandwagon. The Pope writes, listen to this now. The Pope writes, Christian tradition has never recognized the right to private property as absolute and untouchable. Do you see it now, friends? The right to private property is not absolute. It is not untouchable. Now, governments are forcing property owners to care for and to house illegal migrants. Whose agenda is that? It's the Antichrist, the Pope of Rome, the Jesuits, Klaus Schwab. Let's link this to common good. Watch this now. Last phrase, blue words. The right to private property is subordinate to the right to the common use. The fact that goods are meant for everyone, common good. Now you must understand the Pope's statement before the US Congress in 2015. The common good has now become global, and before the UN in 2015. Do you see it now, friends? I would appreciate it if you share this video. Let's move on. The Pope says it's not theft, properly speaking, to take secretly and use another person's property in a case of extreme need because somebody needs your property. That's the Pope's agenda. Do you see it now, friends? It's not theft if by a court order or a judge, they can secretly or openly take your property. It's not robbery if princes, which means politicians, prime ministers, presidents, take your property for the common good. And they can also use violence. Violence from a so-called church leader? Golden Twin Tree in the chat right now writes, the Vatican has many rooms. Ship them to the Vatican. I agree with that message. I approve of that message. Your comments are timely. The common good has become global. You know what? I'm going to stop it right there. I have so much more to share. So much more to share, friends. Give up your rights. The duck test. We are told if it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, quacks like a duck, then brothers and sisters, gentlemen and ladies, it is a duck. It's a conspiracy. And so much more to share. Stop it right there. Stop it right there. Let me wrap this up. The actual person who oversees the border is Alejandro Mayorkas. He's actually the DHS Secretary, Department of Homeland Security. Do you know he's Jesuit educated? Jesuits are opening our borders. And the Pope says, if you don't let in these migrants, you're not a Christian. It's right there, friends. Abraham Lincoln warned us of the Jesuits, yes, that they were behind the Civil War, yes, and Jesuits want to overthrow our rights in the Constitution. That statement on the screen was written by popes in their encyclicals to break America. All right, cut that. Watch now, friends. It's the Pope's agenda, bringing the immigrants. I wonder why. Bringing the immigrants. Illegal entry. I wonder why. Then the Pope says, you are not Christian. Give that to me. There it is. You're not a Christian. I can stop it there now. I can stop it there now. You are not a Christian. Did they not say that in the pandemic? Take the prick because you love your neighbor. It's the same papal agenda. It's time to expose the Antichrist, expose the Jesuits, expose the Pope of Rome, expose the Black Pope, expose Klaus Schwab, expose the WHO, expose the UN General Secretary, who is also Catholic, who is also Jesuit trained. Expose the man of sin and set people free. Enlighten the migrants who are coming from Haiti, who are coming from Central America. You know what? From South America. They're being used as pawns. And once they come in, they will vote the Catholic agenda. That's what Steve Bannon says. They'll vote the Catholic agenda. Why? The Catholics helped us. The Jesuits, the Pope, helped us. And in America, look at this, it's all about the vote. And the mark of the beast is coming. Based on a vote, non-citizens can now vote in America. Non-citizens. Do you see it now? It's all about the vote. That's it. And with that in mind, we come to a close. I almost did not go live today, but by God's grace, I will see you tomorrow. My wife returns later on at 7 p.m. for change of arraignment. Parks, Diana writes, they are Catholicization. This is the Catholicization of America. Tyranny is on foot. Let's remain faithful and remember, the protest continues.